Christmas time at the recovery house, Costa Rica. Scott Griffith, and I'm back from a trip to Costa Rica where I learned a lot about myself and the disease of addiction and how to overcome it. I'm binge drinking, manic depressive type alcoholic, and although I haven't drank in 2.5 years, I have a lot of internal struggle with the ideas that I would like to drink, and I just wanted to share a little bit with you. I feel that it's important to relate information to people in as open a manner as possible, and it's part of the work that I'd like to do to help others. Most people are struggling with active addiction when they decide to enter a rehab. I went to rehab before my addiction could reactivate. I was struggling to remain sober and struggling with a co-occurring disease called bipolar disorder. Since I had a clearer mind in the first few days of recovery, I was able to learn more in class than those people who had to go through detox. Number one, surrender requires an attitude adjustment. Without the gift of desperation brought on by having hit a bottom just prior to entering rehab, I had to reach within myself to try to surrender. Entering an institution, even such a nice one that I went to, requires that you surrender certain things. Things that are physical, like your wallet and your phone and your medications, and things such as the ability to come and go as you please, or to get on a computer. But the type of surrender I'm talking about is the trying to give up the insistence that you're in charge of your life, and that requires an attitude adjustment. The second thing I learned while I was in rehab is that you need to trust that others know better. When we have a physical problem, we go to our doctor. When we have a mental problem, we'll go to our counselor. But where do we go to when we feel that our whole life paradigm is incorrect? That we're just basically making a mistake with the way that we're living. If you're using drugs or alcohol to deaden pain or achieve excitement, then it may seem like there's no one to turn to for help. I found that I needed to overcome my internal prejudice that I knew what was best on how to live my life. I needed to find that someone else would be better suited to tell me a new way of living. It's obvious that people go to rehab because they're having problems with drugs, including alcohol. But it's surprising that once abstinence from those drugs occurs, that's when the real recovery begins. Recovery means different things to different people, but to me, it's a multi-directional path towards a healthier life and away from the larger disorder that underlies your addiction. Of course, we all have things wrong with us besides abuse of our drug of choice, but the realization that this abuse overlays or even masks some type of pathology that's got common elements in all of us is really surprising. The fourth thing I wanted to talk about was that the disease of ego and self-centeredness requires a program of change. The heart of our common problem is this insistence that the external world conform with our personal view of ourselves as the center of the universe. I can't really imagine a day going by where I don't spend at least some of the day thinking that the world owes me gratification or respite from negative consequences. But figuring out that my ego is not really the center of the universe and really shouldn't even be the driving force in my life requires a program of change. One of the best programs of change are the traditional 12-step programs. The last thing that I learned while in rehab was that I needed to define a core value system and overcome my ego-driven resistance to following that system. This final thought is that having a core value system can prevent a lot of pain. If I'm going around being honest and following a core value system of honesty, I don't need to remember who I lied to and what the lies were. If I don't use mind-altering drugs no matter what, then I can achieve another day of sobriety. The hard part is resisting this me-centered universe, which requires a constant vigilance.